What's going on? Hello, hello. Here we go. 10 seconds. Who's ready?
These countdowns.
I know, that's right. Countdown for a countdown.
It's like a flux intro too.
There you go. All right, give it a second here. Has to swap over. Always delayed. For some reason today, only today. We'll give it a minute. It's going to be black for everybody for way too long. There we go. Hello, hello. What's going on, chat? Welcome to a little Friday night stream, hanging out with Mr. Daniel Keller. Welcome,
up,
brother.
My friend?
I think we
picked the perfect setup for a live stream. Cigars,
this is
drinks,
the way it should be.
Lounge chairs, just hanging out, and we're gonna talk crypto and whatever everybody else would like us to chat about. So
100%. Hello, hello. Chat, how do we sound? Are mics okay? Let us know in chat.
Thumbs up. Yeah,
thumbs up? All right, thumbs up in chat. Let us know mics are okay. You guys can hear us all right. We'll give it a minute here. Chat's always delayed.
I got like these, this always freaks me out with this little microphone,
Yep.
you know what I mean?
Yep, 100%. All right, cool. I think we're good. We'll give them a minute here.
Somebody said Weller
Antique?
yeah, that's good stuff.
I don't even know what that is. What is that?
It's good bourbon. And,
okay.
Matter of fact, I'm rocking the Buffalo Trace tonight if anybody's interested. So
yeah,
I'm a huge Buffalo Trace guy. I like that stuff.
Okay, very cool. What brand am I smoking? You tell me. You bought it. I just came upstairs and this man had me hooked up.
You have a Padron. What is it? The 18. See how it's the number, the number on it? It's limited edition. So I hooked you up, man.
Man,
Padron
fancy,
limited,
fancy.
and I'm rocking the Ashton. So I got the big boy tonight, just in case.
Yep, 100%. Well, I think we'll do a cheers here. Cheers,
all right,
my
absolutely.
fellow friend
cheers,
Dan.
Man.
Cheers in chat. Thank you guys for joining us tonight.
Amen.
Dan repping the Flash watch. Look at that.
Yeah. Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
So for those that don't know, what are we rocking there?
So that's the Flux Titan. So that's the world's first NFT watch. So basically, it was born on Kadena and it runs on Flux.
Okay.
So if you have the watch and you have the NFT, you now own the watch.
Oh,
so
okay.
Basically, what they're doing is going after Rolex clones.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That whole business is a multi-billion-dollar business, and it like actually puts NFTs to use.
Yeah,
so
it's an actual utility purpose for them versus just a cartoon art that my son could draw.
That's exactly
Just saying.
I mean, the monkey pics are whatever, but you know,
to each their own,
to
right?
each their own,
to each their own, 100%. So with the watch, let's say I wanted to buy that watch for you, like from you.
Yes.
What would that look like with that NFT process?
Well,
because what makes it different now versus like, traditional kind of timepiece exchanges?
Okay, so if you've ever bought like a nice watch, you have to be really concerned that you're getting a clone, because the super clones are a real deal. Like I've held a super clone in my hands, and there was no way you could tell from a regular Rolex.
Wow, that's
like
insane.
Literally no way. So if I go into somebody, one of the authorized SAL dealers, and I say, I want to buy the NFT watch, you would get the watch and you would provide your Kadena address inside a Zelcore.
Okay.
And they would send you the NFT.
Got it. So, that's cool.
SAL actually created a program called WatchGuard, which is basically it's almost like think of it as an exchange, but for NFTs for watches. So if
its sole purpose is just that, then.
Because we don't want dealers to have to mess with the whole, I have to hold NFTs. So they go into watch.
They're just timepieces.
Right.
That's what they know.
So once they buy the watch, they get a little card that goes with them. And the folks who have bought the Titan, they're waiting on their NFTs. They're getting minted by Mock. Big shout out to Mock for making that happen. This is what's cool about the Labs project. Sal was a Labs project and Mock was a Labs project. They're both working together. And Miners of Kadena, they're the ones that are going to mint the NFTs for them, and Sal's going to basically set it up so that everybody can get it out of WatchGuard. So
yeah, that's pretty sweet. If somebody, one of the mods in chat, or I saw Jeff Key here, if one of you guys can link the watch. Somebody was asking about the watch.
Yes, there are. So officially, I kept a bunch of watches for myself.
Oh, he's hoarding them. He's
Well,
hoarding them.
it was the first one and stuff like that.
I would have done the same thing, so it's okay.
The owner of 𝐿 Watches is like, hey, maybe we should make these available. So there are some watches left, guys, if you're out there and you're interested.
Nice, very cool.
You know, they're coming out of Greedy Dan's hands and into the hands
He's like,
of the community.
I'm gonna go ahead and control the supply, which will automatically force the demand.
And the guys would be mad at me, but I do like to leak things. But
Go for it.
The 𝐂𝐫𝐲 watch is going to be available. It'll start at the end of February.
February, okay.
Pre-sales, and if you haven't seen the watch, it's absolutely disgusting. It looks amazing.
That's very cool.
I mean, it's got the 𝐂𝐫𝐲 burst colors and stuff like that. I'll drop a pic in the chat at some point.
That'll be cool.
We'll put it in the notes or whatever.
100%. Let me figure out real quick. We were talking about where we were, so I wanted to show that, like where we actually are. So let me show you guys real quick. It'll take me a second. Dan, if you want to look in chat and answer some questions while I do this. You guys have
see
questions?
What we got going on there.
Yeah, fire them in chat. I want to bring up some
really
pictures as to where we are.
Crypto Craig says that is really a cool use for NFTs, and I definitely see it growing fast. Yeah, I hate NFTs, and I've told everybody that before in the past, the way they were utilized. But I'll be the first one to say when I see a real use case, and this is like the first time I've seen a real use case for NFTs.
Okay.
So, you know.
Yeah.
They brought me over. I mean, I'm not running out to buy monkey pics or grape apes or whatever the, NFT du jour is. Although there is some cool ideas around those particular NFTs. They want to do one-on-one watches.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
For the site, what are they? The real popular monkey pics. What are they called?
Oh, I don't recall, but I do know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
Either.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So,
chat will help us out. Chat knows everything.
Chat will know right away what I'm talking about.
Like, you guys, it's this, So
they'll
let us know.
Mining King blasted off whatever the green thing is.
Yeah, donation right there. $5.
Yeah, thank you to him because he drove his rear end up here today and made this nice.
A little bit of a ride,
He says, how's proof of use work coming along? Excited with the Flux WordPress coming at the end of the month. Well, Mining King, we're really happy. We have a couple MVPs running already on proof of use work. We're in the process now, so if you haven't had an opportunity to look at our light paper, the light paper is out. So take a look at it. We've got some really interesting stuff that we're putting together there. We did announce, I guess it was last week, that 𝐂𝐫𝐲 is going to be joining the Proof of Use work team. So we now have 𝐂𝐫𝐲 and Jeremy Anderson, the CTO from Flux as well, and we have Alex and Davey, and we have a really good group that's working. And we're also working with the University of Applied Science in Geneva, Switzerland. Davey will be happy when he hears that I got that right on the first try.
Way to go.
So, the answer is we're full on with proof of use of work. So bringing WordPress to the table was a big deal. Like that is like...
Well, I think WordPress counts for what? Like over... Is it over?
All but it's like 48%.
48% of all the web pages out there, correct? Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty
So,
sweet.
and that gives, people, it solidifies Flux as really the only tangible blockchain project out there that has multiple use cases, you know what I mean? So whether you're deploying a website or you're deploying a front end or a back end or a game server or whatever it is, Flux is going to be the infrastructure that powers it all.
Okay.
And people, Flux Drive, so now we have a Dropbox competitor. All these things needed to be in place to really push us to the next level. So
I am definitely looking forward to that. Once that is, like you had said, it's off the ground at least right now, but still going through quite a few different iterations of it.
Okay, let me see here. So he said, any leaks on Flux streamer partnership? Yeah, we're excited about that one. I don't know if you guys saw.
I didn't know about that. What is that?
we threw up an announcement. There'll be a pretty detailed announcement coming out here within the next few days. But I mean, I've made no bones about it. We want to go after the gaming sector and these guys, and we want to work with the most logical people in the space to provide us the technology we need to power these things. Like, we don't want to be, jack of all trades. You know what I mean? We want to have logical partnerships with folks that are really doing unique things. Streamer is that. Like, they're doing some really awesome stuff on their end as well. So I think you're going to definitely see streamer nodes running
Okay,
on.
so that's the actual name of the platform. Is that what that is? Like their streamer?
Yeah,
Or just talking in general? I wasn't sure if that was.
Yeah, I think
okay.
that's what it is. I think that's what they go by. It's
Okay.
with an R, Stream R.
Stream R without
Yeah.
the E.
Yeah, no E.
Got it.
So, yeah, so I think that's going to be a pretty exciting one. So, you know, I would say if we had to look at Flux holistically, we're definitely going after, the WordPress sector. We're front ends, back ends, all that kind of good stuff. The gaming sector, the MVP that we're running is pretty amazing. So if you guys paid attention, I actually leaked a picture of Davey and Alex. Davey sitting in Canada, Alex sitting in Europe, and they're running. What's the game with the cars? It's not.
Rocket League.
Rocket League.
Rocket League.
And they're running Rocket League full out, all
That's
the
cool.
graphics on an 8-year-old iPad.
Oh wow.
So that's
okay.
So that's what's awesome about the headless gaming scenario that we're working on, is it really allows us to use technology and keep it in circulation longer.
Yeah.
I mean, that goes along with our, Flux Carbon initiative.
Oh, just
which is-
everything, yeah. I mean, it goes against everything you see nowadays, where you have to keep up to date with the latest and greatest on technology, and that
Dude,
really makes it convenient.
Does that mean he gave that much?
Yeah, $69 in SEK. I guess that's like Swedish, right?
A couple.
Yeah, Seb Heslo there.
Wow.
Couple of
Seb.
sophisticated.
I don't know how much that is because I don't have a calculator currency.
It's probably like $4.99.
That's a couple of sophisticated gentlemen.
Seb, don't give me your money.
I love his content too. And big shout out, I saw DJ floating around in there. I saw
Mining
Seb,
King.
Mining King's hanging out in there. You guys are awesome, man. Your content's really, really good, man. So
we'll look at the picture real quick here, and then we'll get into some more here. So I did have it up for a second, but so tell people where we are. What is this?
So big shout out to Union Cigar.
Yeah.
So this is in the historic town of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Quite a haul for this guy here,
Yeah.
but that's
Yep.
okay. So this has been around. This is actually a Civil War building, and we are in. What would you say? It's definitely a speakeasy.
Dude, it is
right?
such a speakeasy, guys. Let me swap over here and show you guys that. So this is just now. Like, I just took this picture before walking in to show you guys. Yeah, so this building here, it's so funny. So I walk in, and it's like your typical, like, cigar type of setup, like a shop. And then I'm like, all right, I'm here to meet Daniel Keller. And the gentleman's like, all right, I'll take you to him. That was the answer. It was like, I'll take you to him. I'm waiting for this. There we go.
Like
there we
mafia
go.
style.
So I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm like, take you to him. So we like all of a sudden he opens like this side door that you can't even see like from like the entrance, and we walk into like this like an old style like stairwell, old style, and you're walking up it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna get murdered in here. Like, what
yeah,
is
like
it?
Abe Lincoln's picture hanging on the wall. You know what I mean? Like it's super historic.
Yeah. So then we come up the steps, and there's all these doors, and then he has like a key card, and he's like goes the key card, opens up, and then it's like what you guys see now, and there's Dan, and it's like. But yeah, this is it. Like our own private little room here, nice little lounge, hanging out.
Yeah, you guys
totally legit.
You guys can't appreciate this, but we're in our chairs and we're sitting and we're looking right down Main Street in Gettysburg. We got the Majestic Theater over there. We got all the Civil War buildings down there. So Union Cigar's been around for a while. John and Jordan, the owners, are great guys. I'm a huge fan of them, and I'm a big supporter of them. And they have a nice little setup. So if you're ever traveling on vacation and you stop by Gettysburg, come to Union Cigar, go into the front, tell them Dan sent you, and we'll bring you up here to the speakeasy and you have a cigar.
That's cool.
Jeff. Look at Jeff.
Jeff,
getting
he's
his
spending the money here.
Rusty money out. Look at that.
Here's some cheap Canadian. Also, Dan, congrats on saying the uni name correctly.
Yes.
At least he was here to witness it. Which is cool. What are we drinking? So I'm not a bourbon drinker or whiskey drinker. Too many bad experiences in college, I guess. But I brought beer. So tonight I'm drinking a Voodoo Ranger Imperial IPA. And what about you? What do you got there for the people coming in?
You can't use college as like your baseline for bourbon. You know what I'm saying? What are you drinking, like Johnny Walker, like bottom shelf stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I gotta get you experience.
Let's drink my Maker's Mark back in college.
Yeah. So I'm having Buffalo Trace. I'm a Buffalo Trace guy. So everything that comes from them, Pappy Van Winkle, all that kind of stuff is what I enjoy. And I don't drink much of this. And so this is like This is like a
Little
treat for me.
little
Yeah.
treat, yeah.
Yeah. So
Very
it was nice
cool.
to get.
Joseph says, "Shut up and drink your scotch."
Sit up and drink your scotch. Yeah, I'm a scotch man too. I have a nice collection. My wife, I'm a collector of things, right? I know that's hard to believe, but I
Never.
am. So scotches, watches, cigars, that kind of stuff. So guy stuff, you know what I mean? Like, it's fun to do the guy stuff.
So a question there, Mining King. Guys, we're going to try to take as many questions as we can as things go through. Can you show your guys' view? We could. It'd be a little difficult, but I could make it happen. He says, here's a tough question. Has there been a penetration test done on the Flux network?
Oh yeah, we have a full security team that basically, I mean, anything that comes out of Flux is tested for security. We have an ongoing CVE reporting structure, so anything that gets reported to us, we utilize that as well. As a matter of fact, there was some challenges that came out not too long ago, and we have a really good bug bounty as well. So we're constantly being penetrated test, and sometimes, you know, people I call them script kiddies. The script kiddies are out there trying to find things that aren't necessarily a vulnerability. But we had, I guess it was about 6 months or maybe even longer, we had a vulnerability somebody picked on, put it through the bug bounty, and we patched it, and they got paid well for
you might as well.
it. So
yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense, especially because your approach is very much like getting to a lot of these, larger businesses and such, and larger companies out there. You know, that was one of the things you guys talked about. I was listening to the Flux Day of the Union on the way out here, just to kind of recap on some things, some of your focus there, and those are some of the security things you definitely have to present, because not only are they already a little iffy on putting their stuff on decentralization that's like totally unfamiliar to them. They're used to Web 2, you know, and that avenue. But now you're able to at least check some of those boxes that they're used to. That they're like, okay, cool. So it's gone ahead. It has these, if it's certifications or qualifications or tests have been done. So I think that does make a lot of sense, which is cool.
Yeah, and the thing that you have to remember is, you know, when Flux is in the early stages, you're going to get the script kiddies, you're going to get the people that are looking for the low-hanging fruit. But as you start to move and become more noticed, and Flux is already being noticed, you're going to get nation states.
Oh,
you know, we've already had an issue with, you know, some large nation states that have attempted to go after us, and that shows that you're doing something right, because when you know that they're doing it and they're attempting to get to it, then you know you're building it right. And by the way, every time we see things like that, we plug a vulnerability or we plug something that, you know, will not be an issue down the road. And the nice thing about open source with Flux is anyone can test it, anyone can use it.
Well, it's funny you say that, because Patrick Guillen's question, I think, is perfect here. He says, Flux main page needs a function like Google to be able to find anything hosted on Flux, but without a woke censorship. The nice thing is, I guess, is what you're saying too, is like people can build that.
Yeah, well,
someone can build that, unless you're all in the process of building it.
What if I told you? Okay, so I'll leak a little something.
Oh, here we go.
I can't necessarily. Hold on, let me get this water. I gotta hydrate, man.
There you go.
Rule number 1, kids, is if you're gonna have some good bourbon, make sure you hydrate as well. So you know it's a little bit better for the next day. You know what I'm saying? When you get to be my age, like 2 drinks is enough drinks, right?
Yep. I was even talking to my wife. I'm like, man, I don't know. Dan might be a partier. He's like, I might have to get a local hotel or something. Don't know how this is gonna work out.
So it goes like, oh, Dan's not a partier. I maybe could have at one point in my lifetime, but not anymore. My cigar went out. Well, that's a party foul right there.
You were talking too long, you know.
Well, so this is the deal. That's a great point what he brought up, and again, like with the streamer announcement, we always work with logical partners because we find these things. So that's actually something that we looked at, and we said, well, obviously we wouldn't want to work with, you know, a centralized party like Google or someone like that. Yeah. Who's the best in the space?
Amazon owns Twitch.
Yeah, who's the best in the space, doing something unique, working on something decentralized? How can we incorporate them deeper, right? Yeah. So I'm going to share that we are going to work with pre-search. And we are going to start to integrate pre-search into basically everything you need, and you'll be able to search the Flux network with the pre-search network. Yep. And I think Tempe will eventually do it as well, because they're another labs project.
Yeah, there's that. It's funny you say that, because there's a guy that his name's Your Friend Andy is the YouTube name he goes by. He's big into Flux, has all about Fluxos and such, but he actually had on one of the CEO of pre-search. on that side of things.
Colin.
Colin. And
Sharp guy.
They talked for like an hour to 2 hours all about pre-search and all about like how it's actually built. And if you guys aren't familiar, like pre-search is kind of exactly what you're looking for.
It's running on Flux, man. It's our number one. It's our number one.
And they're built. They've built that search engine. Like that search engine is already out there, which is awesome. So
it's a lift and shift. We're going to basically take their technology model and their integration, and we're going to lift it and shift it right up. And we're all because it's already running on Flux.
Yeah,
it's just a natural. It's a natural addition. So
interesting.
I think over the next several months, I think 2, 3. 5 months, you're going to see pre-search really popping up as the go-to search engine for, Flux. Whether you're searching apps, because that's another thing. People go to that list. They don't want to scan through the list. They want to find the most relevant. There's 40,000 deployments running on Flux right now.
How many people do you think are Googling pre-search
right
now?
I know,
right now.
Colin and I think his name's, I want to say it's Trey, but I can't remember.
I'm familiar with Colin, yeah.
Okay, but those guys are sharp dudes. So I think what they're doing is really good. I think it's unique, and I think it's going to be something we can tap into. Another one of those synergies. That
I think it's interesting. Like as you and I are talking more and we're learning here. Like you guys are instead of like the Flux team developing it, the Flux team doing it. It's like no, you guys are just finding partners. That will utilize your platform that's already it's ready to go. And they'll just sit there. It's almost like your app layer. It's just sitting right on top. I think that definitely makes a lot of sense. By the way, a ton of people in chat now saying you guys forcing me. Look, Jack Daniels, he's getting a drink. Someone else is getting a little green label in there.
There you go, guys. Like, share what you're drinking.
That's right.
It's happy hour time, so let's be happy. The market looks like it's in pretty good shape, so there should be some. Pre-search wants to run ChatGPT.
Yeah, right.
So think about that.
Sick. That'd be sick. And then what is pre-search on?
What would be a real good use for that proof of use of work and all those graphics?
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about.
We're thinking the same thing, 100%. And there's some very astute observations in the chat there. Somebody's drinking Weller Neat. Oh man, you're one-upping me.
Is that good?
Weller's good stuff.
Okay.
Also, a Buffalo Trace product. They're good. So a lot of people say Weller is like Pappy Van Winkle, but obtainable.
I got it. Okay.
I was gifted a bottle of Pappy, I think 25, which is like a very expensive bottle. And I've been sipping. I just drink that much.
And you appreciate it 1,000%.
And I'll just sit there. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, guys, start to fire away your questions for us. We'll take them.
Somebody mentioned Savage Mine. That's one of our
fireballs,
guys, man.
Yeah, he was right. Red Panda Mining. No one knows who he is. What's up, Panda? Yeah, he actually was in the scene. I came in early about 2 years ago, and he was in the scene, pre-established already ahead of time. I don't think I ever got a chance to talk with him or anything like that.
Great guy.
But yeah, definitely.
The last time I talked with him is, he was very into Flux. He was a big, huge supporter of the project. And as a matter of fact, when he passed, we did a nice fundraiser for his family.
Okay, very cool.
And a lot of the people that are in here right now were part of that. So I think Red Panda was in it. I know DJ Mines was. A bunch of people did some stuff for Savage Mine. But the last interaction I had with him was I saved it, forever because it meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
See, I'm getting choked up. He's a good guy. So
very cool.
I asked him for all of the YouTubers so that I could start basically engaging each one of them to start talking about Flux. And the last thing he ever sent to me was, right before he passed, was a list of all of them, and you guys are all on it.
Oh,
so
that's cool.
If you're in there, if you're on that list,
you're an OG then.
You're an OG. Yep, you're
very
an OG.
Cool.
He was a very good dude.
Yeah, that's great. No, that's awesome. Oh, we got Mining Chamber in chat. What's up, Mining Chamber? Welcome,
What's up, man?
Panda.
Yeah.
A few other good people in here.
All right, guys, ask some questions.
Yeah,
let's see what you got going on in here.
While we wait, I'll try to grab some for people that hit us up on Twitter recently here. When will there be clarity around the technical specifications for proof of useful work? can you provide any additional information now or soon? Which I think that's a great question because like
Yep,
where
it's a
my
good
mind.
question.
So I'm going to add on that a little bit. So I was thinking about some things on the way out here, and I was thinking about it with Dan, and one of the things I thought about was like, okay, so proof of useful work happens. You know, you guys launch it, and right now I got all my GPUs, all except for one rig, on Flux. What is going to be the difference there, though? So, like, I'm a GPU miner. So, what will it utilize that existing algorithm now, or do I have to swap to something different? Do I have to get is it going to have to run on Windows, and I have to run like a app, like the folding app?
Yes.
Like, how's that? What's your vision as to how that looks for like GPU miners?
So the way that it's going to work is, you know, conceptually, you know, we want to allow people to continue validating the network and the consensus mechanism.
Okay.
So the algorithm itself doesn't change. I know we got some people that were miffed off because we changed the name from zel-hash to Flux proof of useful work. That probably should have happened when we rebranded the product because we're already 50% of the house is already doing proof of useful work.
Okay.
And by definition, because this is the next question, because you see other projects coming out now and they're saying they're proof of useful work. Well, you know, if we go back to the man, Satoshi Nakamoto, right? When he penned the term proof of work, you know, and he didn't pen it, he picked it up from someone else, but essentially work, mining was at its center, right? So
at the end of the day,
time, material, electric, you know, and if all these miners are out there, they know what they put into it, blood, sweat, and tears, you know, high electric rates, you know, all the pains that come with mining, right?
I know what you're talking about.
That creates value in the asset. So you can't print 100% of your tokens and then call it useful work because it's not useful work.
Got it. Okay.
The work comes from proof of work, and that's where Flux comes in because we are a proof of work. And then, of course, our proof of useful work side of the house is our node structure. So this proof of work enables this proof of useful work.
Okay.
So as we move toward proof of useful work on the mining side of the house, you know, you will be mining Flux just like you've always mined Flux, but you will be placed in a queue. So you'll be using a particular, and there's Bill, my man Bill. He's my
$20.
Bill is my Grand National buddy. So we like to talk about G-body cars. So
Bill,
big shout out, Bill.
Do you know who Dale Cherry is? We'll see if he knows who that is. We'll find out.
Dale Cherry, check it out.
Yep.
So as you'll be mining like usual, but you will also queue for useful work. So as projects need the compute resource.
So is it almost like I'm gonna jump in. Is it almost like it almost reminds me so far like almost like a 𝐍 situation where you're mining one algorithm and then it pivots when needed?
Well, it doesn't pivot. It actually leaves the network.
Okay,
but it holds in queue your place. So you're you know, basically it's saying we're tapping you and we're moving you over here. So let's hypothetically say, you know, ChatGPT spends about you know between 150,000
something a day
at the peak of 3 million a day.
Yep, okay? I saw that. Yep.
So let's hypothetically say ChatGPT needs a wetlands. It needs spillover. They need compute resources. So they go to Flux and they tap our network. And let's say they need 500, 1,000, 5,000 graphics cards. Okay. Then what they'll do is they'll tap it. You'll leave the network. You'll go to your useful work. You're in queue. You're still in queue. You're still in. And when you're done the useful work and that you've paid for, they've paid for your services, then you come back to the chain again. So
got it. Okay.
So we never lose 50% or more of, you know, we're going to have hard caps.
Yeah, you need that for your decentralization, which makes sense. So then when you're doing that in regards to it, so you pivot, I'm calling it pivot. So you hit a Y in the road and your demand comes one way, you go that way, you're over there, you do your work and you come back.
Yes.
So then you're back and you're good to go. And then you are rewarded how?
So you're incentivized by the people that spent the money in the marketplace. So if ChatGPT went in there and rented 10,000 GPUs, there's going to be a dollar amount that they're charged.
Correct.
That's then distributed back to whoever was doing the useful work.
In Flux.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. So then you don't see any difference then as a home miner.
No, a home miner.
But you could see a burst though, because if you like a burst, like your daily.
Yeah, you'll open up your wallet and you'll be like, oh, I got tapped for useful
So your
work.
daily Flux, let's say it's like $8, you know, $8 worth of Flux a day. Let's say you were getting, and then you're utilized in that situation. Then you come back and now you're at $12.
Let's hypothetically say because of the pricing structure, because it's very available, that ChatGPT, as it scales, has to have an overflow. And by the way, ChatGPT isn't the only one out there.
Yeah.
And there are some open source projects that are going to need those compute resources as well. Let's hypothetically say they're spending that $3 million and they tap, 5,000 cards on the network.
Yep.
Those guys that are, and gals who are mining
Mm-hmm.
are going to be the ones that are incentivized for that.
Okay.
So you could make,
Yeah.
obviously not investment advice.
No.
Do your own research, but you could definitely
Dude,
make.
I always tell people this is YouTube. I'm like, if you're listening to YouTube for financial advice, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah,
Like,
you need
I
help.
know you do it.
I can't help you. But the ultimate goal is basically to get the compute resources in other people's hands. So
Yeah.
the other part that I haven't talked about, and what does expand this way beyond, is, let's say you have a computer sitting on your desk and you have a nice graphics card sitting in there. And you don't want it running all the time because you don't want to tax the graphics card. You can join the network and
Via Windows app.
okay?
Oh, man.
And you can sit idle and say, okay, between
8
8 o'clock at night till 8 o'clock in the morning, if a useful work job comes in,
just kick it.
boom, you take it.
Yep.
So then basically what you're allowing people to do is choose how they want to basically mine, whether or not they're using useful work.
Yep.
And they can also just, maybe they have it kick on at 8 o'clock, they're mining flux, they grab for proof of useful work, you're getting incentivized at a higher rate, and then 8 o'clock it shuts off, you open up your wallet and bam, you got extra flux.
So people are blowing up in chat about this question here regarding our current rigs that we have. You'll be able to use those just like the way they are.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Okay,
here.
so a lot of questions were regarding these PCI slots.
Yes.
And X1 versus X16.
Yeah.
And I guess the question is there. Okay, so that's going to be. It sounds like it's going to force us down the X16 route.
Risers are out. I mean, it's
risers are out.
Yeah,
okay.
Risers
so
are
then,
out.
so if we scroll up, so a lot of people had some good questions here, and I think it makes sense, which is good.
We are gonna when we're getting close. When
X1 PCIe slots, you won't be able to run, and is that just because of not to get too technical, but is that just because of the bandwidth that's going to be required?
Well, anytime you use risers like that, you're cutting down on the ability to process data. So
Got it.
I mean,
because with mining, it's so minimal.
Have full access to the graphics card.
So then, in that regard, you're going to want to go with your riserless motherboards that have all of the slots built in with the motherboard.
Yeah, we're actually going to release some specs for proof of useful work mining rigs well before we get
People
to
are going to buy them out
because they're going to be like we need a notice because maybe I have a 6-card rig that I'm using risers on. I want to use it on useful work. I'm going to need to get a new motherboard. I'm going to need to drop them down and put them onto the main board, and they're going to need plenty of time to do that. So, but the ultimate goal is much like we do with proof of useful work on the node side, we have requirements. And if you don't meet the requirements, you can't participate. And it'll be exactly the same way as proof of
Yeah, and I mean, it all comes down to, as you talked about even now, people have issues with some of the nodes because of not necessarily the compute power, but the upload requirement. But as you've said multiple times, you're trying to offer companies an enterprise level solution, and you can't have people with 1.5 upload. And then, now it's a thing. So this is that same situation. Got it. Okay. Which is fine because the funny thing is a lot of us miners have gone the route of riserless motherboards more recently, I'd say in the last year.
Yeah, well, they're more available with
Yep.
server cases. And what is it? What is the one that has octaminers and stuff like that?
Yep. Love those.
Yeah, replace those risers with ribbon cables.
Yep.
And that's a great point because you can do that. Right, if you use the full-out ribbon cables,
you can do the ribbon cable to that actual.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
And that's how when I came into the mining space, we didn't have those fancy schmancy, the thin risers. Man, we had ribbon cables that were this thick, and you got that much out of it. You know what I mean? If you could get it that much above, so
So Mining King has a good point there, which I think will tie in eventually at some point when the requirements come out. But it's there's different generations of PCI, 3, 4, 5. So you guys will have a spec sheet out as to
absolutely
which one it is.
Yeah, we're going to give all the miners that are mining flux plenty of time, and plus two with the test net, they'll be able to deploy their rigs and make sure they all meet spec well before we ever get to mainnet. So we want to make sure everything's good. And if you're a home miner and you have a small rig, let's say you have 1 or 2 graphics cards in your computer sitting under your desk, you're going to have plenty of time to test the software application that comes with it as well.
Good.
So,
I love the fact that it's going to be available on Windows as an app. Like,
absolutely.
Honestly, I go right to NiceHash. Like, I have a really good relationship with NiceHash, but it's like they have some of those same things. Like when the PC's idle, you can run and make it available. It's a great, and for them, NiceHash has always been, and I know a lot of people have conflicts with them with their past history, but it's one of those situations where it's like, they're trying to make it easy. Like they're not looking to be advanced. It's like we want to make things as easy as possible for people to get into mining. And so that's a great way. And it's really interesting. So like those not familiar, NiceHash has a marketplace and people are purchasing hash rate, and then miners are on the flip side and they are going ahead and they're sitting around waiting for that work. In this situation, it's a little bit different. That marketplace is on the flip side of it, is on the Flex side of the world, making it available, and then the horsepower behind it is now everybody, all those miners behind it. And then for you guys, is it going to be a like public opening, meaning like anybody can use it, or is it going to be more? I mean, I know
not only can everyone use it, and this is something we haven't talked about much. I've said it in passing from time to time, was the fact that if you have a project that you're dedicated to, you're going to be able to continue to keep mining that and still participate in the proof of use work mechanism. Because we want to make sure proof of use of work is for the entire mining ecosystem. It's not just for Flux. We happen to be the ones that will have the marketplace that basically brings everything together. But let's hypothetically say you're mining 𝐂𝐫𝐲, okay, or you're mining Haven, or you're mining, you know, some of the other projects, okay?
Interesting. Okay, so you could still be on them.
We will still allow those projects to participate in proof of use of work, and that will be their mining choice, right? And then when they're tapped for useful work, they have to come back to...
okay, so
they're still going to get paid in Flux when they
so
get
is that something that
work.
occurs on the pool level then? Is that what's going to happen? Like, because, okay, so me as a GPU miner, I'm mining to the pool, and then the pool is going ahead and like assigning the jobs and tasks to it.
So no, but I can't get into the details.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Devil's in the details.
Hey guys, we got this far. Okay, we got this far. Help me out here.
I know. I saw Davey floating around, Jeff Key floating around in there, which I didn't know. Everybody pronounces his name wrong. So
I say Jeff Key.
Yeah, but it's Hefkey.
Yeah, but he's accepted the fact that
he just went with it.
Just go
he's
with
never
it.
corrected
We're
me.
renaming
Good
you.
for him.
We're renaming you. That's right. It's all right, guys. Because I've become friendlier with Dan now. We've met twice now. I can give him hell. So he always calls when I was listening to the State of the Union on the way out of Flux, and he calls me the hobby miner. Hey, it's hobby miner. Well, it's hobbyist miner. And he said it so many times, but it's like now I can give him hell because the first time he said it, I was like, all right, I don't really know him. Like, it's kind of cool he's getting together with me. Like, I'm just going to run with it and see what happens. But now it's like, okay, I can give him a hard time. And we're good to go.
I see my son's floating around in there somewhere.
Oh, really?
So
Very
shout
cool.
out to J Penn. That's my boy.
Yeah.
Let me see what else we got going in there. Somebody just threw something up.
Let's take a look here.
Wait,
right here. Crypto Craig.
Crypto Craig gave us $12.34.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Woo! Okay, Conflux announced this week it's partnering to use blockchain to store cell SIM information in China to avoid SIM swaps. Interesting. That's probably why they went from nothing to something.
Yeah. It was like an 80% or something.
Is this
like
a
that?
potential use case for Flux? Well, yes, because Flux Drive basically and Flux IPFS could basically be that storage model for that.
If the database was stored on
it. We wouldn't. This is where, you know, Conflux could definitely work with us to be able to, and this is why I say tap good projects doing unique things.
Yeah.
That's something unique, you know, and I like that.
Do you have a lot of projects approaching you, or are you guys more taking the role of being proactive and approaching projects that kind of are in line with where you want?
For the first 3-4 years of Flux's life, we were always the ones being proactive and going out and engaging. That has changed. We don't contact anybody at this point. Most of them come to us because they have a situation that they need to rectify. You know, for instance, with 𝐂𝐫𝐲, they needed more nodes. Right, so you know we were able to fix that situation. Streamer needs a place to run, you know, it's nodes as well, so that it has geolocation, low latency, low ping times.
Well, you're building your resume too, which is nice. So the nice thing is like, okay, when like you're working with some of these Fortune 500 companies and stuff, and it's like, all right, well, you use those references, you use those resumes that are on there. So I think that's pretty sweet. Question here from chat. This is from Betty actually. Can you tell us more about Flux Cloud Services? and the benefits and upcoming updates. Like what's the status on Flux Cloud right now?
So Flux Cloud, many of you who have been around the project long enough to remember Flux Cloud we called Jetpack for a long time because that was kind of our launch pad. Since then, we folded everything into the term Flux Cloud, and that includes Flux Drive, that includes our Flux IPFS model, that includes, a lot of these different things. So really, it's fully baked. I mean, with WordPress coming on the scene now, I think you're really going to see some pretty awesome and unique things. And,
that's awesome.
And yeah, I mean, we have a competitive suite to compete with some of the biggest players in the space. And as a matter of fact, I would say that we're being recognized, and I'll tell you why. Google came out this week with a brand new tier of pricing to basically enable small businesses to deploy on Google at a much reduced rate. So
I wonder why.
Everybody that's listening knows that I go back and I said what we're gonna do is we're gonna make Web 2 become more accountable and more responsible for their pricing structures, right? So it can't be $350 to deploy a server on
when you're the only
AWS,
one in the space,
right?
You can charge whatever you want.
So basically, I think you're going to start seeing more of the Web 2 folks. Now, we had Lumen that joined us, we had OVH that joined us, and we're working on another third one, which I can't mention or Davey will shoot me. But I think we're going to be working with multiple Web 2 folks.
Okay.
And you will see, as you go through the onboarding process with Flux, you get to the point where you're ready to deploy your infrastructure. You're going to have the ability to deploy in Flux and also deploy in Web 2 on OVH and Lumen at the same time.
Okay.
So OVH is built more for the entry level and the smaller businesses, mid-tier businesses. Lumen is going to be more for the enterprise-based businesses, and Flux is going to be the the Web 3 option. So let's say I run a large business, okay, and I don't trust putting everything into Web 3 because as we went from like on-prem and then we started moving into the cloud, people were really leery of the cloud. They're like, what is the cloud? Where the hell is it at?
Where is it at? And it's like,
is it a thing? Is it real?
It's the funny thing is because anybody in the tech space knows like cloud is just a marketing term.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's real. I've seen.
It's like cloud. What do you mean cloud? A technical term is, oh wait, you're in 10 data centers in the US. Okay, great, thanks. Like that's actually what it is, and it's using like multi to go through all of them. Now it totally makes sense.
Look, I've been to the Microsoft cloud, right?
Cloud.
They're basically shipping containers with hard drives.
Yep.
And they employ a guy, and his sole job every day is to walk through, and anywhere there's a red light, he replaces that drive, puts a new drive in, and that's how it works. So as people were making their way to Web 2, maybe I'll do 50% of my network on-prem and I'll maintain it, and then I'll do 50% on the cloud. And then what happened is they started to get legacy infrastructure. They started to get servers that they sunset, right?
Yep.
They just naturally gravitated to Web 3 or Web 2.
Yep.
Now they're going to do the same thing with Web 2. They're going to say, I want to reduce my footprint. I want to reduce my cost. I want to get into Web 3 because it's decentralized. It's highly available, high uptime. Flux did what every project out there dreams of doing. They took proof of work, which is rock solid. Satoshi Nakamoto would agree, right? Bitcoin is rock solid. If Bitcoin could have been screwed, it would have been screwed by now, right? So
very true.
We took that as our consensus mechanism, as our transactional validator, and we built our data network on top of that. So now what we're going to do is give all those folks the opportunity to utilize both those things. So I think it's a win-win across the board. I think Flux Cloud is hands down, and I'm not saying this because it's our project, the community's project. It is going to do what nobody else has been able to do, and that is break through that silo of it's blockchain and what do you use it for? Okay, it's blockchain and we use it for everything, right?
Well, I've heard you say in the past. I've heard you say before, and I'll reiterate on that too. Is like the stepping stone to this, to get people over to it, because it's always like, as you talked about, you're sunsetting one thing, you move to another, is like, okay, even if you're looking at some of these big Web 2 companies, it's like, okay, you're not going to bring your whole platform over, but let's say your DR solution, you'll bring over to the decentralization, because it's like, okay, great, now your DR is there, you're more comfortable in Web 2, fine, And then if you ever have to fail over, then you fail over, and then you're like, oh shit, this is running great. Yep. Let's just leave it here.
Yep.
So now that makes sense.
We've had. I just dropped my ashes on me. We had.
This guy's new with the cigars, guys.
We've had. Well, I just talking too much, man. You know, I can't do two things at once when when you get to be my age. So basically, we've already had companies who have not been able to afford like a real DRP in the past because cost.
Yep.
Dollars, right? To do it on Amazon, it's ridiculously expensive.
Yep.
And we have projects that are deploying, 10 instances, and now they have a DRP. And for anybody that's wondering, disaster recovery plan. Yeah. Now they have a disaster recovery plan that spans both Web 2. So maybe they have infrastructure like, let's say, SushiSwap or Uniswap or something like that. They're running on Web 2. But they're also running on Flux on Web 3.
Got it.
So now they have the DRP in both places. So if you lose Web 2, you're going to lose it in, let's say, North America. Or, if you've lost it across the globe, we're screwed.
Because if you do something like a load balancer on Web 3.
Absolutely.
That then goes ahead and you utilize your Web 2 and your Web 3 solution so that, like, if your load balancer is not going to go down if it's on Web 3 and it's decentralized.
Yep. Then
you're on your Web 2. So yeah, lots of options.
Well, think about this. What makes Flux so unique in the grand scheme of things is if you're using AWS or one of the other major providers, they charge you for egress.
Correct.
So as you're leaving, Flux doesn't. So now it changes the dynamic for folks that want to actually use this for disaster recovery, protection, things like that. Because they're not worried about, or maybe you have a heavy-end website that needs a lot of egress. Well, with Flux, it doesn't matter because that's already been provided. It's baked in. So
that's cool.
Yeah, we got a lot of good stuff coming for that. What else we got?
So a question here that was interesting is there any news on Flux from Binance with it just being a native Flux, so not just having to utilize Binance's network to send to 𝐶ELCOR?
So there are some talks specifically around adding the main chain to multiple exchanges. I think it's important we have a couple really good exchanges that have main chain just because people want to deal with main chain. But you got to remember for adoption, and I hate to say this, but when you start, because right now the people that are using Flux, they are diehards. They're people that came into the space. They're technologists. They're people that understands the difference between main chain and the parallel assets and how to get back and forth. Retail is going to come along. And it's going to be speculatory. And they're not going to want to hold a main chain asset.
No, they're not going to know the difference either. Like that's
they're not going to know it till they're ready to deploy. And when they're ready to deploy on Flux, well, guess what? We take all the PAs. So it doesn't matter what you deployed it in. So whether you're using Flux Solana or Flux Binance Smart Chain, you're going to be able to take it. So, so I would say that there is a ton of value too for protecting the network because the less exchanges that hold the primary asset, the less exposure you have to a 51% attack.
Sure.
Because really, because people get weirded out about 51% attacks, but really what it comes down to is exchanges, centralized exchanges, and they're the key parts. So if we can keep them out of the fray and using an Ethereum or a Solana-based asset, which some would say that with Solana and they're it's a tad centralized, but what it does is it keeps the risk mitigation down for these centralized platforms.
Yeah, that's cool. So I know this, and I'm curious. D-Mining asked this question, guys. We're behind on chat. I'm sorry. We'll try to catch up. Flux looking at listed on mainstream exchanges. So I remember a while back you had talked about the fact of, and this was probably over a year ago, of just that, and this was like during the bull run where those exchanges would go ahead and streamline and bring them in quickly, fast track in these your SHIBs and all these shitcoin type of deals because it was popular. They wanted to make the money off the trades.
Right.
Have you seen that change for you guys now that we're in the bear market and are these exchanges kind of pulling things online easier and faster now because they're like, all right, we just need more because we're not
I think it's exactly the opposite.
Really?
I think what's happening is, especially with the regulatory challenges now, Flux has been Howey tested multiple times and failed every time. And by the way, the people who are listening, you need to fail the Howey test. You don't need to pass the Howey test. It's not a security. So I think it positions Flux to be in a better situation moving forward. But I would say the only major exchange that doesn't carry Flux at this time is Coinbase. And I would say
which is a shame because it being we talk about retail.
Right.
It's the biggest retail outlet. For
Right.
that.
Well, and people say, what do you think about getting listed on Coinbase? I wouldn't turn it away, and I'd be glad
if
to have
they
it,
approach
right?
you guys.
If they approach it. Am I gonna give away the keys to the kingdom to get Coinbase? No.
Yeah.
I think there are other.
So you're waiting for them to approach.
Yep.
And got it.
And by the way, me, you, and all of our friends out there, I think centralized exchanges are on their way out. I think you're already
just based off the recent history.
Yeah, I think you're going to see DeFi really start to develop, and if these exchanges are smart, okay, they are already developing their DeFi solutions that will be almost a hybrid-based scenario where they'll have a centralized exchange where they have like maybe institutional custody and things like that, and then they'll also have their DeFi integration as well. So, especially with the regulatory ambiguity in the States, which is a damn shame because they're going to push all of these projects, these technology projects out. I mean, the Flux, the major company for Flux it develops is called Influx. It's in the UK. Why is it in the UK? Because the US sucks. They need to get their shit together.
Yeah.
Congress needs to put some real legislation behind it. We need to stop
talking
Gary
about it and
Gensler
just do it.
and all this, back alley bullshit that's going on. They need to give us some good guidance. And if they give us some good guidance, I don't think there's anybody in the space that isn't willing to work with that. And by the way, tell me how I report my taxes. Tell me what is a security and what is not a security.
Taxes are such a funny thing because what I have learned is no one truly knows the proper way to report taxes with crypto. Every accountant I've talked to, it's all over the place. And someone in chat is gonna be like, no, you need to do it this way. Well, that's the way that you interpret it and you find out about it. But the issue is in the U.S. is it's all over the place.
I have 3 accountants.
Yep, and they'll tell you
it goes from one to the other, and they're all trying to figure it out.
Yep,
but at the end of the day, for us to really get into the retail space and really be successful, we need to have that regulatory clarity in the States.
Well, what you need is, and it's a shame because I am all for that regulation. I think that's what will help crypto get to the next level. But the challenge is that the U.S. unfortunately tries to ban everything they don't understand or they're afraid of, versus the U.S. wanting to lead the way in crypto.
Well,
and that's the challenge. Is now what's going to happen is the U.S. is going to keep doing what it's doing until someone else over in Europe or wherever ends up being the leader, and then the U.S. is the U.S. is like, oh shit, we don't want to be number 2. Typical U.S. mentality. Everybody in the U.S., you know how that is. So that'll be good.
The U.S. has always been the financial leader. Hold on, scroll back up. I have one other there. I want to grab that.
We're
other
so
one
far
there.
behind, guys. We're trying.
We're trying. Okay, I'll answer this one, and then we'll try to get.
We'll speed run. Okay.
So question for Dan: how many WordPress sites do you think will be on Flux by the end of 2023?
Well, how many are now? Do you have a count?
Well, we're still in beta for the WordPress. We have sites running on Flux, like Mock runs on Flux, Run on Flux, Haven, all those folks.
Sure.
Our goal by the end of this year is to have 25,000 WordPress deployments, okay? We think that's very reasonable. We've talked to multiple companies that do website development, and they host, 200 sites, 300 sites.
So you can bulk bring them on.
Because remember, these guys that are hosting websites for all their customers, they're paying exponential.
So for them,
hosting.
So for you guys too, the price is the driving factor.
Yeah.
Because then it's wait, you could cut down your overhead and go ahead and do it, and they could pass that on to their customers in order to keep the business. But if the customers have been paying for that.
Daz says, "Are you guys going to share a bunk bed tonight?" No, man, we're going to wrap it up, Daz. I can't. We're no bunk beds tonight. It's not a sleepover.
So, Panda says here, Flux, OVH, and Lumen partnership. There's already one, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was confused. I was confused why you said that. All right, so we'll kind of jump through these real quick. Mining King has. I know Dan is a miner. Do you mine at a loss? Oh man, here we go. Congratulations to Flux and everyone in the project for all your success. If you do not have Flux, you're missing out. This man has all of his rigs on Flux down there.
Mining King, the answer to your question is I mined Flux at a loss for many years. And I was an S-coin miner, right? I mined. I like how you the piping hot de jour, right? Whatever. I'm trying to be, politically correct here. I don't want you to get in trouble.
You're good. Trust me. On my channel, anything goes. Let's be honest here.
Fuck. There you go,
Absolutely,
guys.
you're good.
Everybody's been waiting for it, so there you go. Yeah, I mine for. I mean, I had one of the largest mining facilities. You've seen the pictures of them. You know for a
We
fact.
showed
I
them,
mine.
yeah.
I mined
Yep.
flux at a loss for a very
With
long
DJ.
time. People need to understand delayed return on investment, and
What's the profitability today? I need to know the profitability today because it's all that matters. That's
profitability,
what I hear.
yes.
That's what I hear.
Well,
That's all that matters.
Well, the new folks that are coming in and they're the very first time miners, they
Yep.
don't understand delayed return on investment because
Yep.
they look at it and they say, I can't sell it today and pay my bill, okay?
Yep.
When I was mining
Yep.
Ethereum at $2.50 or whatever it was when I was
Yep.
mining Ethereum, guess what?
Yep.
I shouldn't have sold it when it was going up.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like
this
it
is
was
the man that's telling me he was mining Ethereum at $1, and I'm
Yep.
like, oh man. All right.
Yep.
Let's see here. I accidentally scrolled ahead. Damn me. All right, let's see here. Jeff �HEFKEY said he's leaving. Make sure Dan doesn't leak too much.
well, no
I'm on it.
guarantees.
Come on my channel. I want to know all the details. You know. Let's see. Catch up on chat. Let me know if you see anything that stands out. I'm scrolling slowly here. Okay, here we go. DJ Mines, he's bitching about this the other night. Totally understand. Why is it on 𝐶 you can't move 25 ergo? Because apparently the payout...
More than 25 because I got payouts of 1 ergo at a time.
Yeah, so
only
his issue
25
was,
allowed,
we were
and
talking about, I talked to him about
Sounds
it.
like a UTX.
Yeah, his issue
UTXO
was he was getting paid out like at the minimum amount, so he had a bazillion different transactions.
UTXOs, yeah.
Yeah,
They're
so
UTXO-based coins.
Yeah.
You know, start, DJ, do this.
You have to make the change.
You have to send a small amount, start very small, and you have to send it to another address because what happens is you have to build up your UTXOs.
Can it be
Even
on
Flux
@zzalcore?
does that as well.
Can it be on 𝐶 sending it to another address?
Yeah. Send it to one
Okay,
of
so
your
in DJ's
boop, boop,
situation, he could go to one of the sub wallets and then send it
Yep.
to there. Yeah, guys, if you guys aren't familiar, so like everybody likes to see deposits in their wallets all the time, right? It always makes you feel good. It's that feel good feeling. But the challenge is like go in and change your minimum payouts on your pool level to be larger.
Yes.
For me, I do mine, I think I get paid out like once or twice a month for Flux. And it's like, great. Then there are bigger payments that hit it, and then you never have that issue.
Yeah, and because basically every mineable asset is like this. Some are a little worse than others.
Yeah.
You know, I remember the first time with Flux very early on, it was a pain in the rear end. And, you know, even for me, it was like, why in the hell can't I send 2,500 Flux? Oh, UTXO. Boom, 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 boom.
Mm-hmm.
Send smaller amounts to smaller amounts. Because what it does is, Trunk explained it to me, is it basically sends all of that Flux and then returns some to the wallet. So it builds up these UTXOs that you can use into the future, you know?
Yep. So question here, will upload play a factor with proof of useful work if you're a GPU miner?
No, it's not going to.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
that is only going to land on the proof of useful work of the node side of the house.
The node side, okay,
yeah,
cool.
there will be benchmarks to run useful work, but that's going to be more geared around your setup.
Okay.
You know, can we access the full, graphics cards? How are you, what are the minimum specs? Like because everybody asks us too, they said, if I have these old RX580s sitting in the corner that have been collecting dust for the past 4 years, can I use them on useful work? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So our goal is to basically have evergreen technology and allow strength in numbers, right? So if I have, 50 RX580s that are just sitting idle, all they're doing is waiting for work.
Working on my 580s last night. Yep.
And here comes a useful work job, boom, they get tapped, now they're getting paid, and they're going to get paid at a premium level because they're doing useful work. So
got it.
Absolutely.
Cool. I think we're caught up on chat finally, which is awesome.
Somebody said even Ledger has the UTXO issue. Yeah, it's really around proof of work coins. I mean, you just got to get those UTXOs built up, and then you're good to go.
So a question here was on GPUs with proof of useful work. Like what age of GPUs or what GPUs or memory, based off of what you and I have talked about in the past. Your goal with proof of useful work is being able to utilize any hardware.
That's right.
In any capacity. So it
I mean, you're not going to
CPU,
go back
GPU,
to
you're not going back to like a 980 or something like that.
No, I mean, I think like your RX 580s,
580s, your 1060s,
1060s, 1070 Ti's. I think they're all going to be like. I still have my workhorse 1070s. I cleaned them up the other day.
Oh, good for you.
I'm all ready to
Look
go.
at you.
I'm like, I'm going to.
Now the big question: did you replace the pads and paste on your own?
Hell no, I didn't
Hell
do
no.
that.
He's going to invite me over. I'll just do it.
I'll just wait till I see one running hot, and I'll be like, I better go watch your video.
I was doing my
did
570s last night. I did 3 570s last night just to get caught up on those because, like, oh, man, I need to use these. I got to put them. Now I'm just putting them on 𝐂𝐫𝐲. I got my 580s on 𝐂𝐫𝐲, but it's like, man, you know, once that comes out, it'll be perfect, which will be awesome.
Look, bottom line is when we go to testnet, I recommend everybody to dig out everything they've got and put it on useful work.
So that means don't sell your old GPUs, guys.
Yeah, and if you guys see some cheap GPUs, and this isn't investment advice because I don't give investment advice, and somebody earlier said that they get all their investment advice from somebody.
That's Red Panda. Red Panda said
Panda
he gets it all from the internet.
Yeah, that's a smart move.
Yeah.
Said no one ever.
Yep.
Right. So I would say if you guys find some deals, like, I don't know, I hit Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist on the regular, and I look down through, and if I find somebody that's got an old rig with 5, RX580s or RX570s or 1070 Ti's or whatever, I grab them. As long as they're working, I'm ready for them.
There was somebody in my Discord today, and I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I shouldn't. But he was talking about how he found somebody who was selling 30 RX470s for $25 a pop, and I was like,
"What?
Holy shit!"
Yeah.
And I just
Sign me up!
I just sold a bunch of my RX470s. They're the first GPUs I really sold. That's nuts.
We are witnessing, and this is my opinion. We are going to witness the resurgence of proof of work. This is going to change conceptually how we do proof of work, and we're going to see it happen right in front of our faces.
So curious here. The next bull run, whenever it is, year, 6 months, are we already in that upswing, whatever. But somebody posted this the other day, and I'm really curious, because of the fact with proof of useful work becoming available and actually having utility for these older GPUs, like what you're talking about, and then on top of that, let's say a bull run hits at the same time, we could possibly see a shortage on GPUs then.
History repeats itself. Those that forget history are doomed to repeat it. So, I've told you this before when we've talked in the past. I sold my entire farm at the peak.
Yeah.
I just went through and sold the whole thing.
Yep, the whole kit and caboodle. That's awesome.
And the reason I did that is I knew that, well, one, I wanted to move to nodes, but two, I knew the time was then. And now somebody asked me, they said, "Are you buying graphics cards now?" And I think that was you when we did our last
so it was me, you, and DJ. Yep, we were talking about that.
And I said, yeah, I've been buying graphics cards for a while. I plan on redeploying on useful work, because I believe in what the project is doing. So, you can't have, the team that's building useful work not believe in what they're doing. And I'm going to put, as I did when Flux or, 𝐍𝐶 Cache back in the day was born, we're going to make sure that we have exactly what we need. And I'm going to definitely do that. So I would say not investment advice, guys, but if you're trolling around looking for cheap GPUs, you guys got a head start. And by the way, I got a feeling that the big technology giants will catch on that the compute is going to get out of the hands of the few and into the hands of many. And I think you'll have, I truly believe you'll have large companies like Google and other people starting to produce almost like a useful work model as well. So we're already ahead of it. We've got a first mover advantage. That makes a big deal. So
proof of useful work, we talked about GPUs. We have CPUs.
Yes.
That'll be involved with that.
Yes. Obviously, CPU for let's say, machine learning.
Yep.
So
each device is going to provide a different type of, quote, useful
work. A subset,
yeah. Got it. Okay. So we have GPUs, CPUs, and then FPGAs.
Yeah. FPGAs won't be viable at first because we don't want we're not going to have FPGAs on the network.
Okay. So in order to
FPGAs come
like a phase 2 type of deal?
with the Cirrus nodes.
Okay.
Cirrus nodes. Cirrus nodes will bring FPGAs that they do not affect the chain. So everybody out there that's freaking out, we're not bringing FPGAs. It'll only be GPU mineable. Flux will only ever be GPU mineable. But it doesn't make sense because FPGAs actually do process data just like a GPU to exclude them from useful work. It makes sense to have them all. So
Now,
Flux ASIC miners, no, we would immediately fork the project.
Yeah, I mean, you've talked about that at length, just the fact of like ASICs
Never.
don't align, which I think is a really smart move, and I think that's a good idea.
Maybe when I'm dead, the 𝐋𝐸 can vote on it, but I don't know.
As of now, you're good. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So I thought about something completely separate here. So there's 3 founders of Flux.
Yes.
Okay. But you're the most active, to my knowledge.
I am a very vocal community member.
Okay. The other founders, are they involved with the project?
Oh,
or
yeah.
No? They are.
Yeah,
okay.
Tadeusz is our lead developer. Everything that you see come out of Flux is Tadeusz.
Okay. So my second question here, might put you on the spot a little bit. Are you 3 the largest wallet holders of Flux?
Oh, I can't say
All right, that's fine. That's fine.
I will say
what?
I will say
I thought
this.
I'd ask.
I will say this. I've been in the project for 4 years. I love the project.
Okay.
It is and I have never officially sold Flux.
Okay, got it.
So you can use your imagination. I had one of the largest GPU mining facilities on the East Coast.
Okay.
was mining Flux at a loss then. I then moved to nodes.
I like it.
and I run my nodes and I take care of it. Now I'm going to deploy for proof of use work. So I put my time and effort and talents into what I believe in. And that's and I really honestly say this is the community is what makes Flux great.
Okay.
Dan could be gone tomorrow, and this project would keep going on because we have dedicated people within the community. And by the way, with 𝐂𝐲 and 𝐂𝐲 2.0, the guidance is going to be given by the community. So I take great pride in being one of the co-founders.
Sure.
It's Parker Honeyman, Tadeusz 𝐂𝐫, and myself.
Okay.
And many of you know that we were birthed by 𝐍𝐨 𝐊𝐘𝐄, and then you had Miles Manley, who was in there at the beginning as well.
Yep.
And we've dedicated, us 3 core founders have dedicated our life to the project, and we have worked. And let me tell you, there were some lean times, guys. Like there was times where it was like, what the hell are we going to do? The Flux is at 2 cents or a penny, and we're trying to bring good talent on, and people don't necessarily understand how the project grows and so on and so forth. And the community has always worked us through that.
Okay.
Like they have been the rock that held us together. So.
And how many people do you guys have, you think, Flux full-time right now on the project?
We got about 65.
65.
And then we have and that doesn't count the 𝐍 core folks. I think they got 12 or 13 over there.
Sure.
So, and then what we did is we kind of divided and conquered. We siloed the Flux folks. They all work for Influx, which is a UK-based company. And then you have 𝐍 core, which is his own company that's actually in the States. So, and what we did is it's still the co-founders and it's still the team. They're working together hand in hand. But what that did is it gave us the ability on this side to concentrate solely on Flux, and that's where I'm at.
Yeah, that's smart.
I'm a co-founder of 𝐍 core, and I do help them from time to time with strategy. But my spot is in. So when we got together, the co-founders got together, we sat down and we said, okay, how are we going to work this? Parker went to 𝐍 core, and he works on Flux behind the scenes.
Yep.
Tadeusz kind of spans both worlds. Let's say he's 70-30 Flux and 𝐍 core. And then, of course, we added some of the greatest talent out there. We've got, Jeremy Anderson, who was one of the original guys for Ravencoin. Like,
oh, really?
He was the main dude, man. Like, he was Ravencoin, right?
Okay.
And then you look at, Davey, and you look at Alex, and you look at, we've got Vulture. Vulture is a huge part of it. I mean, if you've launched a node, you can thank Vulture for that.
Okay.
So we got all this talent, and then, of course, our business development team started to be added in as well. So we got Lucas, and we've got, Adam, and we've got all these different guys and gals. We got Betty as our marketing, and she's got a marketing team of, 5 people. We got Lisa, who's all over the Twitter space. So shout out to Lisa and all those folks. What it comes down to is every single one of those people are here for the right reasons.
That's great, though. It's good for you guys.
The one rule.
Now, do you pay them all in Flux?
The one rule, yes, you get paid in Flux. The one rule about Flux is we want people to be themselves.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because it is decentralization. It is cryptocurrency. We want people to feel free. But the one rule we have when you work on the project is you work on no other project.
Yeah, I think I've heard that before, which is smart because you get these like freelancers that are tapped into a few different projects and such, which is good. Did he let it go out again? Let's see. Oh, maybe. No, he's good. He's good. No, I like it.
What you find is when you make sure that they stay with the project, they invest themselves wholly.
Sure.
And that doesn't mean we've had people that came in and they were there for a few months and they just didn't work out, and then they went off to another project.
Sure.
Hired guns, so to speak.
Yep.
That But you know, everybody that works on Flux is there for the right reason. And
so
if
I
you,
saw here Chili, who is now your WordPress manager.
Yes.
That's exciting to have that there.
Yeah, so we identified Davey, who is the business lead. We identified kind of some needs, and we said if we really want this thing to be successful, we're going to need a project manager.
Somebody that could then take your Web 2 big groups that have 200 WordPresses and WordPress accounts under them, connect with someone like Chili, who's your WordPress manager now, to help pretty much stepping stone them from, hey, this is where you are.
That guy with 500 websites that he needs to transition over, he gets a dedicated person to help him move that over.
That's awesome.
So,
That's
and you think about it this way, is
Congrats, Chili, on the job. Woo!
I heard somebody say the other day, they said, you know, Flux feels more like a business than it does a cryptocurrency.
Well, you're
or
correct,
like
and I've heard you say many times before that, like, Flux is a technology company.
It is.
Yep.
It is. But the thing about it is that you have to remember is everybody is here by choice. Everybody is here because they believe in the project.
Different than a day-to-day
right.
job
It isn't,
at a Fortune 500.
It's not corporate. Everybody's global. We're completely dispersed all over the globe. Everybody needs to be self-starters. They need to have autonomy. They need to be, you know, and I always say this, and anyone on the team can justify or speak to this as well. I've never yelled at somebody for taking initiative. Like I've never... When people come up with ideas...
I wonder how many people out of the 65 are watching right now on the Flux team that are like, oh, I'm going to hold my tongue against Dan.
No, I guarantee it. Like, I've never complained. When people take initiative, you know, whether it was the right thing or the wrong thing, I let them grow with that. And, you know, it's a good process. We took all the fundamental important things of a business and we rolled that into blockchain and cryptocurrency, right? We wanted to be cypherpunks at heart. We'll hold our ethos close to our chest. And also be agile, because all of our meetings are agile meetings. We don't have meetings for the sake of meetings. We do the majority of our work through Discord, Telegram, and other things. I mean, when we have a meeting,
he yells at me all the time.
Who said that?
J Penn is Dan's son in chat. Yeah, that's funny.
Well, you don't count.
You don't count. That's right. That's right. I'm gonna go to the bathroom because I drank my entire 19.2 ounces of beverage.
Okay.
Do you want to tell people, and I'm curious, on what's the latest on Cypherpunk on the event in Miami?
Oh, yeah, I can do that.
Come on. I mean, it was supposed to be 2 months from now. Or, you know? Give us the latest. And I'm going to leave my mic here because you guys don't need to hear my stream.
So, you know, everybody's kind of excited for Cypherpunk. We are going to be moving the date and possibly moving the location. And I don't want to say... you know, where we're moving it to quite yet. And the reason we're doing that is because I didn't necessarily know this, but F1 is going to be in Miami at the exact same time. And I did not want the folks that are traveling to spend ridiculous amounts of money on accommodations, right? So we do have a few places we're looking at. My son's piping in there. You know, we're looking at possibly Austin, Texas, you know, possibly some other places on the West Coast as well. So this will be the first of I believe many of these events because I'm really super excited to see it. And we also are looking at eventually doing a Flux Europe as well. So for all you folks that are across the pond, you know, I think that you're definitely going to see that come up as well. So let's see, other questions. Event time. Timing, I think we're probably going to look into the end of summer, into probably, if we're going to Texas, I think we're going to probably do that in the, when it's not 190 degrees, because there's no such thing as dry heat. That's all a lie.
So what I miss?
We're basically moving Cypherpunk, and we're going to move the date, mostly because F1's going to be in Miami at the exact same time.
Okay.
See, my goal with Cypherpunk was to keep it as cheap as humanly possible so people can get there. Like, we're not going to be one of these events that charge you $5,000 to walk in the door, right?
Yep.
We want you guys to pay a couple $100. We want the folks with their Titan watch, they get in for free. We want to open it up to educational universities and so on and so forth. So we want to make sure it's affordable and people can get in, because it doesn't make sense to have it somewhere where they're going to charge 3 times the rate for the hotel room because F1 happens to be in town at the same time.
Well, it's so funny. So a few months ago, I was looking at pricing for like hotels down there.
Expensive.
During that time period, it definitely was pricey, without a doubt. Your everyday person isn't going to go ahead and pick them up. So, okay, so will we see any announcements then or adjustments? Because right now, everything still screams May 2nd.
We've got, yes, you will see.
Come on, 𝐿𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐿.
Yeah.
What's the update, brother?
You will get an announcement within the next week or two. We did have 2 event planners join the team. So these guys are legit, man. Like, these guys have planned. The one guy worked and planned massive raves and all that.
Which I think is really smart to have someone manage it.
I can't do it. I can't do it. Just tell me where to go. That's all I need.
That's right.
Just tell me where I gotta go and when I gotta be there.
I will be there, 100%.
Yeah.
I've already talked to the wife. We're good. We got approval. I will definitely be there.
Well, all the folks, the Red Panda Mining and
don't invite him.
DJ Mines. Don't invite him. Okay, he's banned. So
Dan asked me for a list, guys, and I made sure Red Panda was not on that list. I was like, nope.
Black marker right off. All those guys are coming for free. We want to have as much. We're going to actually have a space specifically for content developers down there.
That's cool.
So I mean, I want people to do live streams and interviews, and I want people to feel included. If you're sitting in the UK, I want you to feel like you're included in this event.
Okay.
So all of the event will be live streamed. Everything from the beginning, welcoming keynote to the keynotes to, I mean, we have the guest list that we have for speakers is, well, I'm not going to leak anything, but I called some favors in, man, and I'm telling you, we're getting some good speakers, so it'll be a lot of freaking fun.
That'll be cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a good time. Guys, shoot away your questions on Flux, on anything. I've tried to pick your brain as much as I can.
Yeah.
On those items.
Leo said he's going for sure. Good, good. You vote against Vegas. Yes. Vegas was one that we had talked about.
Vegas is super up and coming.
Yeah, but the problem with Vegas is there's so much to contend with. I want people to go to the event and participate in the event. I don't want them to be ADD, walk into the event and being like, oh, look, bright lights.
Yeah.
I want to go over here and see this. You know what I mean? Like, I want people to show up. Can you list some of the speakers? I can't, mostly because we have to execute NDAs with all of them. We will eventually publish them on the Cypherpunk. I think the website is cypherpunk.com, cypherpunk2023.com. And, but I will say this, the key is the name. So if you look at Cypherpunk and you start to look into the space at the people that could show up at this thing, there's some OGs that have committed verbally to be there, and some that are actually 100% in. All
right, so let's talk about a touchier subject regarding the halvening. So we had the halvening occur not too long ago.
Are you talking about that question where that guy was asking?
No, not yet, not yet. Don't jump into it yet.
Okay.
So the halvening occurs, and everything executed as expected because it's all built into code.
Yep.
So it's nothing, nothing.
Well, it's built into code, but it was a nervous damn couple blocks. I'll tell you that. You're sitting there waiting for that block to turn.
You're like, okay, it's gonna work. Is it gonna work?
Everybody's celebrating because we hit the block height, and I'm like, no, wait till the next block. That's what we got to worry about.
It is working.
Okay. Yeah.
So, did you guys see the hash rate change since the halvening?
Oh yeah,
up or down?
We definitely went down.
Down. Okay.
Right before. Halvings, not happenings. Don't say that because everybody yells at me for that.
You know what? Doesn't matter.
Halvings inherently have people that are, they want to get in and mine right before the halving. They want to also see discovery because they're discovering. The one thing that we noticed, not financial advice, is we haven't seen much change in the price. And we've seen less flux coming to market. And, basically...
Correct. Well, less flux come to market, meaning just less out there in rotation?
Yeah, so it's becoming a scarcity. And the other thing that you have to think about as well is all those WordPress sites are going to require flux because everything that's deployed,
whether you're using ecosystem is flux.
Is flux. So it becomes a finite resource. And that was by design with Bitcoin. Like when Satoshi Nakamoto added the halving process into Bitcoin, he did it because you have to do one of two things. If you want to maintain your current profit level, you have to double your resources, okay? or you have to stay at the current level and possibly maybe downsize or move to another project.
Okay.
So in the short term, you're always going to see discovery, right? For the next couple months, you're going to see this discovery popping around. And then we're the only project other than Bitcoin I know that's ever had a halving. You know, you can call Litecoin and, you know, Ethereum or whatever, I don't know, that has had use case on the other side, right?
Okay. Yep.
So by maturity, we've baked in, and by the way, our halvings occur
It's a 2-year cycle.
every 2.5 years, right?
2.5, okay.
So we did that because we knew we needed to scale, right? To get to market, to build the network up appropriately, 4 years wasn't going to work for us.
Okay.
2.5 was a nice round number. It worked for us. It worked for what I believe basically creates this kind of like deflationary market that basically, you know, we're not printing more flux. It's not an arbitrary exponential number that it can go up to. It's a finite resource. So, yeah, in the end, it was unbelievably successful. Our hash rate has dipped some, but, you know, I think people are in the mining space, they're business people as well. And by the way, those new miners that are coming in, they're going to go after whatever's the most profitable because they don't necessarily understand position. So this is not investment advice again, guys, but, you know, I was told a very long time ago, and this was one of the wisest things I was ever told. Diversification secures your portfolio.
Yep.
Positional is what makes you rich.
Okay.
Okay? So you pick stocks or, you know, bonds or whatever it is, and that's where you put your resources and you build those resources, right? And when they hit, it all goes right. You know, so, and we know this because, you know, Flux was 2 cents. I was mining Flux at, you know, penny, 2 cents. And the next thing you know, Flux is $3.50.
Well, it's funny because like the halving occurs and, you know, we see it's pretty stable for the first, you know, hour or so. The price has gone down and now we're seeing that price return. And it's really funny, you know, there's one individual that commented about like, okay, well, you know, we didn't see the price double, so we're going to see the difficulty change. And I think that the interesting thing is the fact of...
That's all hard baked into
correct. It's all, I mean, you're not going to change that, you know, in that regard. I mean, yes, it's more difficult to come by, but, like, it's occurred. And I think, you know, the hash rate has gone down. But the challenge is, like, a lot of those people are chasing that profitability. You know, like, I always tell people, and this is really hard for people to swallow since the bull run, is, like, don't chase profitability.
No.
Especially GPU miners day to day. It's, like, really, like... If you're looking to mine today, cash out today, or I'm sorry, mine today, get it to your wallet today, transfer it to an exchange, and cash out today, right now is not the best time to be mining.
Oh my God,
like,
it's not.
Don't
you're
be
going to
mining.
get wrecked if you do that.
Yep. So a few other questions here.
Hold on. I want to.
Oh, you got one? All right.
I want to address.
Go for it.
I want to address this one. So second
TL
Mining. TL Mining says, question for Dan. When do you think we will be able to pay for fiat for app deployment? So that is done. Okay. It is ready for deployment. So we're going to have 2 fiat gateways. We're the very first project in all of the space to do this, and including in the tech stack as well. Coinbase partnered with Google, and you can pay through Coinbase with that. But we added Coinbase, and we also added Crypto.com. So you'll have really 3 payment mechanisms. You'll be able to use Apple Pay. You'll be able to use all these other things. But you'll be able to use Coinbase. You'll be able to use Crypto.com. And you'll also be able to use 𝐶. So pretty much anything that is in 𝐶, obviously Flux is the big one, you'll be able to deploy apps, Flux Cloud, whatever it is. You'll be able to do it with that. So
very cool.
That's a good question.
So parallel assets we have. You guys announced on the last State of the Union that you guys will have Algorand.
Yes.
Which is awesome, which I'm so happy.
Did you see it showed up in 𝐶?
I did.
Yeah.
It's good. It was so funny. So when I heard you say that, I literally swapped. I was talking about last time, my live stream. I swapped over my Jazz miners. I have 2 Jazz miners. One's a gigahash, and then the other one's 580 megahash. I swapped both of them to Algorand. Never heard of Algorand until then. Looked into it, and then was like, okay.
Once you looked into it, you kind of understand. Although it's a little bit VC laden and things like that.
Yes.
Like you got to pick and choose.
Yeah, well,
but there's a ton of value.
So it's proof of stake for those of you guys familiar. Proof of stake and Algorand. I was really surprised to see it's like right now right around that 25 cent mark. So it's like okay, cool. You know, it's not like we're talking 0.000 whatever.
Yep.
Which is nice. And then started to read into the project, learned very much that it is really a project meant for stepping into the traditional finance market with transactions and stuff.
And you're going to have these bridge assets.
And then just like a week ago, Algorand made the announcement that they're partnering with some. It was like the Bank of Italy in order, and I was like, hell yeah! So now my question is, what's our timeline on that parallel asset?
I knew you were going to ask that.
Of course.
Okay, so usually the way that it goes is you'll see it show up in ZELCOR.
Yep.
Then you'll have claiming.
Okay.
And that'll. I imagine you'll probably see that by the end of the month.
Okay.
And then
February.
it's usually about a 1 week or 2 week delay, and then you'll be able to start moving it back and forth.
So we can an educated guess from our perspective here is March is what we're looking at.
Yes.
Somewhere there. Perfect. Awesome. I like it. No, I think that's good. And then another question there is, you got one?
Yeah. Photo says, when I'm bad for Discord. If you can come back and play nicely, we'll be glad to have you back in Discord. But if you don't, then you'll be gone for good. So if you want to come back, we'll let you come back. But remember why you're not there.
That's right.
I use ZELCOR. I also mine flux pools. How do I see my other assets?
Not sure what that is.
Yeah, I don't know that. You can see all your assets in there.
Yeah, some people do have a difficult time on the ZELCOR side. It is, I've heard a few people have some challenges with ZELCOR regarding like understanding the fact of multiple wallets and things like that, which totally makes sense. There's a little bit of a learning curve because ZELCOR is not like your plain Jane wallet.
It's not.
It's not. It's very robust, and it's only getting more robust as time goes on.
And, you know, I hear a lot of people say, they complain about ZELCOR, and they say, well, you know, the user interface could be a little bit more seamless. You're right, it could be. Or, you know
what
it's a little bit more.
We need a simple mode and an advanced mode.
We are going to have that.
Because the simple mode applies to that guy that literally is coming from like,
easy.
I use my web wallet, and it's like, this is all you got. And it's like, okay. Like, great, you know. Like,
pay attention to what happens with ZELCOR Plus.
All right.
Because it's gonna be important.
Yo, I got to give Dan a hard time. Dan, I'd say a year ago, Dan was like, hey, I'm going to get you ZELCOR Plus, no problem. I'm like, all right, Dan, cool, sounds good. Never heard from Dan. Just want to tell you guys.
Oh, well, I'll give it to you, man. You know that. So I just forgot about it more than likely.
Dan forgets. I got to remind him a lot. He's a busy man. So proof of useful work. Let's talk back on timeline. So last you and I discussed timeline a little bit. We talked about the white paper hitting, which that's already out there, published on Flux. We then had talked about 2023 really was going to be the year for advancement, beta by the end of 2023, and possibly a Q1 of 2024 launch.
So our goal is to have proof of useful work in testnet this year.
Perfect.
You know, I think you'll start to see the testnet start to go online probably end of Q3 into Q4. That'll give people, because you got to remember, in a major change like this, because essentially we're changing how people mine, right? There's going to be a window that we have to allow people to get their hardware ready, test their hardware, make sure they're ready for the switch over, and then we move over. So
that'd be great. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll. Man, there's going to be so much buzz around that once we're able to start to test equipment.
Absolutely. And I can tell you this right now, you know, we're going to definitely tap the treasury. The co-founders have donated a fairly large sum of flux to start
for the testnet. That's what I was going to. My second question was going to be
we
on
want to
testnet.
incentivize people when they're on the testnet, and we want to also check the payment mechanisms, right?
Okay.
We want to make sure that when you're doing proof of use of work, you're getting paid for that shit, right? So, you know, I think that's super important. So there will be definitely some payments for testnet. We don't want to leave you out in the cold.
So how are we testing? Do we have actual real-world demand that we can utilize for that, like that you guys are going to utilize for that testnet?
Absolutely.
All right, look at you smiling about it.
There's a reason why. There's a reason why Alex, who is our champion, and by the way, people have said. I've heard lots of Twitter things about how, you know, he's a kid. You know, how can you put a kid?
Dude, he looks like he's 14, but you know what? If he's smart as shit.
He's 27 and he's smart as hell. I mean, this kid is a freaking genius, right? He's a savant. And he's wonderful. The time that he's put in to developing out proof of use of work, I mean, he's teaching at the University of Applied Science in Geneva, Switzerland.
Really? Wow.
Flux. Wow. He's teaching the students how to use Flux, what it is, all that kind of stuff. So we will look for opportunities, and if you really start to look at what Flux is targeting, you look at, you know, the University Blockchain Alliance, which is hundreds and hundreds of universities all over the world globe. You look at the, you know, University of Applied Science in Geneva, Switzerland. You look at the different people we're partnering with, Lumen, OVH. You look at these different and you start to drill down, you're like, you starts to come to fruition. We have proof. We have people that already want use for it.
Yeah, yeah.
So all we have to do is provide the network to allow them to test it, and then eventually we deploy.
That's great. That's great. Question came in chat regarding Fusion. You and I had talked about this on I think it's like Fusion 2, like the next iteration of it, that will aid in I guess, are we calling it the gas station mentality to address some of this dust that's required. So give us a rundown.
Okay, so if anybody's familiar with Kadena, they use a gas station model where essentially you can send basically free transactions. And we want to eventually get Fusion to the point. So there's a couple key features we want to add to Fusion. One, we want the ability to have a stable asset pairing. Right?
Yes.
So we want to be able to move from a stable asset. I can't say who it is, but there'll be a stable asset that'll eventually be in the platform.
Okay.
So I want to move from, I want to take some profit, with, I want to move my Flux KDA, and I now want to move it into the Flux stablecoin. Okay. And we're not doing the stablecoin, by the way, so don't everybody freak out. We're not doing that stuff, right? But we are going to partner with people that make sense, and we are going to use their stable asset. Okay. So now they've moved into a stable asset. So Flux, whatever it is, the stable asset, and it maintains its peg, right? But now I want to come back in, you'll be able to go back through and you'll be able to, buy when it's low. I call this kind of like a passive market making model because people inside of the platform will be able to move between the asset and the stable asset, and that in a completely decentralized kind of DeFi manner, and it will allow them to be able to not leave the platform and go to an exchange and take the risk of losing their assets. So, that was one of the major asks, is a stable asset. The other one is we're going to see other platforms that are going to be pegged into Fusion as well. Okay, so I like that. You might see a project that you'll be able to access right inside of Fusion. So we've already kind of experimented that with like Flux KDA and Flux Ethereum, these different platforms. But imagine if you had a version of Caspa that was inside of Fusion. So now you can move between that and the other assets. So, I think this is the evolution of what, DeFi will look like in the long run, a decentralized platform in a decentralized manner. And by the way, Fusion APIs are available to anyone. So if somebody wants to build another wallet or another platform, or maybe even exchange wants to add that as well, and we have talked to multiple exchanges about doing this, they'll be able to make the API calls directly to Fusion, and they'll be able to use it off, they'll be able to have it in their platform.
So speaking from the GPU miner side of things, because that's just bread and butter here, you're mining...
Second TL, you're close.
You're mining, and you go ahead and, a snapshot occurs, and you go and you redeem that, you get your token. The nice thing about this next model of Fusion will be then where it's like, let's say it's one of the ones that you guys have already previously had, and it's like, oh, now I got to go buy this asset just to do it. This new version won't require that. Instead, it will allow you to go ahead and do that swap, but it'll take it out of Flux.
Yep.
So instead, where you'll see is like
Flux is
requires
everything.
2 Flux.
Yep.
And then perfect.
So the gas station model will everything will be powered in Flux. There's always going to be transactional fees, and people get
which is fine.
Like, I hate transactional fees. It's like, all right,
they
look,
hate
man,
to pay for things.
Yeah, if you want development of the product, you have to continue to keep paying something, because we can't do this shit for free, right?
Well, no, and I think that's fine. I mean, I think if anybody, I don't think most miners will complain when you're like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and redeem this or swap this, and now I go from this token to now all of a sudden into Flux, and it's going to give me 90 Flux, awesome. But it's like, oh wait, it's going to cost you 2 Flux to do it. Yes. Okay, fine. I don't give a shit. Like, let's go ahead.
Have to worry
Great,
with it.
I'm good to go.
I want to move to main chain, and I have Flux ETH. I don't have to have Ethereum in my wallet. I just pay a little extra Flux, and boom, I'm good to go.
Yeah, I think that'll be really nice, because I still have several of those just sitting in my wallet.
So would you? And this is just an idea, and I want people's input on this at some point. Would you pay a premium to not be charged any fees?
So almost like a subscription fee.
So could you imagine Zelcore Plus as a subscription-based fee where you pay a monthly fee and it covers your transactional pieces?
100%.
Okay. 100%. Well, that's something we need to think about as well, because I think
that would
be
cool, and
sense.
then rolled in with the additional benefits and stuff. Yes. I think that would be nice. I think just streamlining it, like a GUI engineer looking at it from that perspective. So like, in order, it's almost hidden or buried.
Yes.
To go ahead and do this process as a
Yes.
miner, where you're like, okay, it almost needs to be in that Flux wallet level, where it's like, check if you have any available, like with your snapshot.
Yes.
And it's right in front of your freaking face,
Yes.
almost all the time. And you click it, you check it, oh, you got it, you click it, one click button, bam, it flips
we even want to do it for the new people that are coming in. So like, let's hypothetically say that, we end up eventually getting added to Coinbase or something like that, and the retail space starts to get big for Flux.
Yeah.
And they come to 𝐍 and they need an easier way to transition from, they have 𝐍 easy mode, which is basically you hold it here, you hold it whatever.
Yep.
And then you go to Fusion, and you can have a simple button where you click it and say, guide me through the process. So '𝐸, which is like the brain behind all of this, right?
Okay.
'𝐸 basically walks you through the process and says, okay, start here.
Yep.
This is what you're doing. Step 2, you're going to do this. Step 3, you're going to do this. Congratulations, now you have your your new Flux.
Well, you have to remember, like when you're looking at the retail side of things, and you're not looking at these home miners that are hobbyists that have been with Flux for so long, so they understand it. Let's say you have to dumb it down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
it's got to be more simplistic.
It does. It has to be simpler. I mean, if I have to go to Second TL Mining's videos to figure out how to go ahead and redeem my snapshot, and then how to go ahead and swap it, it's like, all right, way too much work.
So we had to look at, in 𝐍 especially, we had to look at functionality and security versus usability and pretty UI.
Well,
so we
do that first, and then the second.
Yes, and then so we just added 𝐂𝐫𝐲, who is he's the CTO at 𝐍, comes from Accenture. He's a UI/UX guy, so he's going to look at all the flow and all this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you're using 𝐍 now. I know there's OGs out there. They're like, "Oh, I love the original version of 𝐍."
Sure.
Yeah, it was dog shit,
It's what
guys.
you know.
It really
It's what
was
you know.
ugly.
Yeah.
I went back and revisited it the other day and actually showed like the version of 𝐍 that it was at the beginning. I'm like, it's not even the same thing. But yeah, I think you're going to see that usability piece, that usability features start to get expanded, and it's going to be geared. You're going to have different phases of 𝐍. You're going to have the entry level model. You're going to have the premium based model, which 𝐍 Plus is going to have stocks, bonds, crypto, all your asset, in one place.
Cool.
Pulling real-time API data from your 401k, all this stuff. We want it to be the one-stop shop.
Very cool. Very cool.
All right,
guys,
what else we got?
We'll do a handful more questions, and we'll wrap it up here in the next little while.
Your cigar's getting short, guys.
That's right. Mine's gone. Started to burn, so we know it's done.
I saw another one up there, but I don't know where it was.
I can scroll
up. So DJ or somebody, Gil is awesome. Has been trying to get rid of the bugs in 𝐍 and has been. Okay, yeah, he is. We do like him. He's a great member of the team.
Let's see if we can find something here.
When 𝐂𝐫𝐲.
Oh, for 𝐂𝐫𝐲 for the wallet, right? Yep.
So I will tell you this: it's on the roadmap. So
Okay.
it's we've been working with the 𝐂𝐫𝐲 team. So there's some pieces that they had to get done on their side, and they did that. I always say I don't make bones about who I like as projects. 𝐂𝐫𝐲 and I like as a project. 𝐂𝐂𝐫𝐲 I like as a project. I think anybody that's doing proof of work, I like them as a project.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean it's turnkey. A lot of times these things have to really be built out. And so I think you could definitely see them coming soon.
So a question here on the nodes. I think he's asking more along the lines of oval board tech. I'll give it one more shot. Plans to do a collateral halvening any point for the node tiers since the yield halvening has taken place. So the nodes were, for people who are familiar, the nodes were affected, of course, by that.
Everything, the whole network.
As well, everything. So now you're seeing a decrease in profitability at the end of the day.
Yep.
If you're saying that. And that's
Bring them home because running home nodes, so now you got seed and it's 𝐶OTX, One of these days I'll figure out how to pronounce that. Bring them home. Bring those nodes home. Don't host them on VPS. And I will tell you, and I've been warning everybody for about a year.
Okay.
Get your nodes home. Because we are going to, at some point, address and incentivize the people that are running infrastructure that doesn't rely on VPS.
Interesting.
For us to be a really, truly decentralized...
Well, it keeps you away from where we see with Ethereum.
Exactly.
And their challenges with like Amazon and stuff like that.
Yep.
And the value of that, for those of you guys not familiar, is like legislation comes down and Amazon's like, screw that, we're just going to go ahead and eliminate that from our platform. Now all of a sudden you're in trouble because now they go ahead and do that. So pushing it, okay, I get it. Okay, cool.
Yep.
That's going to be interesting how you guys determine that.
All right, so at Dan, you got MW with 𝐶ell Plus. What is that?
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
So Ledger, let's talk about Ledger or Treasure for cold storage, because I'm interested in that. I think that's a phenomenal idea.
𝐶ell is in the process of, and I don't want to give away their roadmap. That'll be published here within the next, few weeks. They're putting out their roadmap, but I will tell you that Treasure and actually they engaged. If you go back and look at Gil's Twitter, they engaged the community who was unbelievably fucking vocal about what they wanted to see in 𝐶ell, and that was the #1. So I think you're going to see it be 𝐶ell kind of be the gateway to your cold storage. So you'll be able to work
that's a smart move.
like a user interface.
It
like
doesn't
what
take
Ledger
you off of it then. Yeah.
So it doesn't take you out of the platform, but allows you to interface with your wallet. So I think you're going to definitely see that.
Oh, that's great.
Photo, you said, Dan, let us come back for real. I told you, man. If you can come back and behave yourself, we'll have you back. But the leash is short.
There you go. So people are talking about, which it makes sense, chain critical points about, like, you say take it home, but the challenge is your challenge of, upload.
Yes.
But there's no change on that because we need that to stay the same from the enterprise. Correct.
Yes.
You guys, so the challenge is with home miners is like, you guys want lower upload speeds, but then you want now, and I'm not just citing, I mean, I'll ask whatever, but you want them to lower the upload speeds, but now it is now you're putting up the quality of product. Now you're asking for a lower quality of product just to have nodes.
Yes, and we can't do that.
Yeah, yep.
I mean, if you wanted that, I mean, you go back and look at those shitty projects. I can't remember what they were, that they were saying you were deploying a node, but there was an NFT and it was an API call.
Yeah.
So they were saying, we got 50,000 nodes. No, you don't. You have 50,000 API calls and it's all horseshit, right? It's smoke and mirrors. So, these are enterprise-based infrastructure. So I would say this. First of all, when we release the Cirrus nodes, the requirements for running a Cirrus node are dramatically lower than what it is to run on the enterprise infrastructure. 5 flux, you can deploy a node at home. The requirements, you can run 20 of them if you'd like to run 20 of them.
What is that upload speed requirement for 5 flux?
There'll be very, very minimal.
And that isn't out yet, right?
No, that isn't out yet. That's our
like the
off-chain
Raspberry
solution.
Pi.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
It's going to be edge compute, basically. And that's not part of the block reward. That's completely separated. Would be part of the useful work model.
Okay.
So yeah.
So there will be an easier way to entry into that space of nodes coming down the pipeline then with that.
Yes.
Because then you get away with your 5 flux, but then you don't have that upload
That's right.
requirement.
Well, the reason that is we want to make sure that we provide the ability for third world countries to start to develop the technology, right? So there's strength in numbers. My commitment is I've already allocated a very large portion of flux to allow multiple Cirrus nodes in Africa and all these different areas. So what we want to do is we want to speed up and expedite that adoption curve. Like, you're old enough to remember, everybody had landline phones.
Oh, yeah? I had a party line when I was first a kid,
Same. Okay, so, there was a point where having a cell phone was important. You guys have cell phones in the early days, the bag phones, right? You're walking around with that. Keep that one question, because that's a good one. So what happened was, it was expensive, it was complex, it had this big bulky thing with this huge antenna. And then once they figured out how to get it smaller, the adoption cycle went like that, right? So our goal is, you guys are the original OGs of cell phones, so you're the big bag phone carriers. And when we release the Cirrus nodes, the adoption curve goes like this. Because we've removed a big barrier for entry. And the other thing is folks that are coming in and they want to experiment it, maybe they want a low commitment, they want to use something that they already had in infrastructure, they want a low commitment from lockup, and they want a low commitment from network requirements, but it gives them the very first chance to be exposed to the node network. And then they run it for a while and they're like, you know what, I'm going to move up to an enterprise level. I'm going to move into a Cumulus node or Nimbus or Stratus. I call it the world's largest test net because essentially you're allowing people to participate and get paid for the small network that they will then turn into a larger network.
Okay.
So
yeah, that's great. This was the question you were talking about here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that one's from Second TL. Question for Dan. With more traditional Web 2 websites and people expecting to come to Flux, is there any extra support channels going to be in place other than, of course, your Discord or ticket tool?
So we're working on doubling our support desk.
Okay.
So Flux has, big shout out to all the guys that work the support desk. We have the best support desk out there. And guys, if you're not getting what you need, you're not submitting tickets because our turnaround time has gone like this. I mean, you know, it's damn near real time. So we're going to ramp up our support desk. We're going to also provide a Discord, a individual Discord specifically for WordPress. So it's going to be maintained completely.
Okay.
Now we have a Discord channel in our Discord where people could just ask regular questions.
Sure.
You know, the community, but it's going to be more formal support, and it's going to also have an IRC.
Oh,
now we're all the way
look
back.
at you.
An IRC chatbot that runs on Flux that is tied back, and we've experimented with this before, so people can get real-time help as they're working on these things.
That's cool. That's
so,
cool.
you know, we've got some plans for that.
That's a good idea. Any plans? So here's a go with Red Panda Mining asked about it with Shopify and integrations there.
Absolutely. I just did an interview today. There is a company currently working on developing out in WordPress, as a matter of fact. They're working on a Shopify competitor that will be deployed on Flux. The difference with that is it's going to revolve completely around cryptocurrency. Okay. So there will be fiat gateway options, but it's going to be really about using crypto and use case.
Yeah, that's great.
Good stuff.
That's awesome. Guys, we'll take 2 more questions.
2 more questions,
we'll wrap
guys.
It up.
Wrap it up.
Fire in chat. 𝐂𝐲 is in 𝐍_core. You just have to make sure your 𝐍_core is updated.
Yes. Update your 𝐍_core and then go to add asset and you'll see algo there.
It's there. I transferred all of mine today, actually. I took all mine from my web wallet with 𝐂𝐲 and moved it over. So it's there. I know it is.
Yep, absolutely.
100%.
Somebody said epic. Somebody said yes. Okay.
Yep. They like the IRC one in there. You know, your OGs, you know, you can tell.
Well, you know what? It's like old technology becomes new again because when you're starting, you know, a completely new internet, you know, all of a sudden, you know, Little Stash, big shout out to Little Stash. He's hanging out in Puerto Rico, living the crypto life.
There you go.
Good for him. But, you know, the bottom line is old technology is still rock solid. It's been proven through the years. So if we can integrate that as running on Flux as our chat medium between and support, why not? You know, do it. Ask Dan if there will be
a blacked out watch coming.
Yes, there will.
Look at that. That's cool.
Yeah, so
cool.
2 Flux watches were originally spec'd. The Titan, which is the white one, that's ice, right? And then there's the Ghost that's coming, and the Ghost is all black, all black. It has Ghost image of the 𝐍_core logo. It's going to be sick, and it will be the very first watch, to have a fully embedded QR on each side. So you're going to have a QR code on the bezel, right here. You have a QR code on the back, and basically laser etched. And that'll be scannable, and you can tie that directly to the blockchain.
That's awesome.
So that'll be the first one that does that. So yes, KDA watch will launch the end of this month. Pre-sales will go on this month. We're looking for probably mid-year for the Ghost. And then I will tell you there is one other slated for this year, and that is the 𝐵itcoiner watch. So we're going to do one for the OG Bitcoiner maximalist.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, and that's the company out of Baltimore, right?
Yes, it's out of Baltimore.
Okay,
so
that's cool.
Good stuff.
Yeah, and those are all limited, right? Like a limited run.
200. This watch is 250. The KDA is 250. The Ghost is going to be, I think, 150.
Wow.
We're going to actually push that down because it's going to be a little bit more exclusive. So.
I like it. That's cool.
So, all right. And it says, Hobbyist Miner, when are you getting a Flux watch?
Hey, well, I found out tonight, you know, you accept the Flux to buy them. So now I'm excited,
absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
Just got to find one, guys. That's all.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
All right, guys. Well, I think last go, one more question. If anybody has it, throw it in there now.
Good one. Good question.
Good question.
Good question. Yep. We'll give it some time. I like it.
And thanks to everybody who came tonight and
Oh,
hung
yeah.
out for the whole.
If you guys came late, I'll show you guys again. This is actually where Dan and I are right now. Dan had talked about it earlier. This is the place. I actually just took this picture. It actually looks like a pretty good picture. We're in downtown Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, actually, at the Union Cigar Shop.
Yep,
that's where we are right now.
Big plug for Union Cigar. If you're coming to Gettysburg and you want to come in, tell them that Dan sent you. You know, they'll show you this kind of speakeasy up there as well.
Yeah.
John and Jordan are awesome. They're good guys. You know, you can also go online and you can order cigars, and you can also, they have a kick-ass coffee too, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
Union Cigar Coffee. So check it out.
Absolutely.
And while I'm waiting for one more question, I'll do some selfish plugs.
Sure,
so
go for it.
You can check out Sal Baltimore. There are some Titan watches left over. You know, grab one because they're gonna go. They are gonna go fast, and then once they're gone, they're gone. I still have a couple of mine, and I'm not selling them. So you know,
collector's edition.
I'm gonna wait on that, and I'm gonna take the hedge that they're gonna be worth a whole bunch of money someday. So
that'd be cool. That'd be awesome, though.
Another big shout out for the Flux store. You know, we hear a lot of people complain because, you know, they're saying, well, you have, you know, the watch company that you're working with. These are all labs projects, guys.
Yeah.
And in a bear market, you need to bring people in and keep them involved with your project. So swag is important. We make no money off the swag. We sell it basically for the cost to cover the apparel and then the shipping.
Okay.
And the reason we do that is we want the community to get good gear, right, and represent the project, and we don't want to gouge them for prices. So, you know, you're getting basically, you know, pretty much everything. It says got to be close to sold out.
You got 241.
Okay, well, not necessarily, because I reserved mine. So the people that buy now, they're going to get up probably in the 100s, maybe into the double digits. Okay.
Got it. Okay. I feel like you got to get the first like 10, you know, like so it's like number 1 of whatever, you know.
So we just completely reworked the store. So gotflux.store. Big shout out to Betty, Lisa, and all that group. Marcio, who have put together a really nice store for us. Go check it out. If you have special requests, we're always willing to. We have a Noster shirt in there, which I was wearing in a live stream the other day. People were all about that. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Yes, the actual Titan holders will get first dibs at the Ghost. So if you bought one, you guys will get first dibs.
No, that's cool.
And then there'll be a pre-sale, and then they'll, you know, whatever's left over will sell. Dan, I will only use 𝐍𝐿, so please, whatever. Okay, we did address the hardware.
We talked about that.
AI and Flux, absolutely. That's what Flux was built for, guys. Like we don't run around telling people we're going to do AI. You go back 3 years and look at our you know, releases about nodes and things. What our target goal was. You know, edge compute, AI, machine learning. These are all pieces why useful work, proof of useful work is going to be massive.
Awesome. On that note, guys, we'll wrap it up. Thank you guys for joining tonight. This was fun. Had a good time. We hit almost 200 people tonight, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. a good way to spend the evening.
Guys, we'll try to do this again sometime.
Our European folks, they're long in bed, so they'll catch it tomorrow.
They'll catch it tomorrow. They'll check the VOD, which will be cool, which will be a lot of fun. Guys, other than that, appreciate you guys coming to hang out with me, with Dan tonight. This was fun. We've been talking about doing this for a while.
Yes.
So we finally got a chance to get
my
it scheduled.
schedule, you've been very patient with getting us here.
We've rescheduled a few times, but it's worked out well, which is good. So, guys, appreciate you guys coming to hang out with me and Dan tonight. Between the two of us, we'll see you guys next time.
See you guys. Thank you.
I'll wait for it to update. There we go.